another Nasiya session of Bamboo Jamaah. And very nice to see your wonderful brothers and sisters here once again. And although we cannot meet, at least we meet on this platform, inshallah. So, when we almost start this month, we're already today number 9. We're almost at 1/3 of the month is already gone. And when we started this month of Ramadan, we actually started it off on a different note from what we usually start on years gone by. We started it off being away from a lot of things, being taken away from our usual routines that we would have in the month of Ramadan. We'd come to the masjid close to this time. We would sit together and wait to break the fast, and we'd sit with our families, we'd sit with our brothers and friends and our sisters and friends, waiting to break the fast. And we'd come again for Tarawih Salah, we'd come for Jumu'ah Salah, and we definitely miss those things. There are things that it's uncomparable, nothing can match up to it. But it's so special that it's not just the food when you come for iftar and like the bamboo iftar. That's some of the best food you get. So it's not just the food we miss, but it's being there and being at the masjid. And we still need to do those things at home, and we still do those things at home. We break fast at home, we perform Tarawih Salah at home. We don't do the Jummah at home, but we do the Dhuhr. So we still do those things at home though, but it's not the same. It's not quite the same as being in the masjid and doing it. And one of the things that makes that difference is just having the brothers and the sisters and the entire Jamaat there that we spend that time with. Is being there with our brothers and sisters that actually makes that difference. It's a small, subtle difference, but it makes so much difference at the end of it. And it shows us that sometimes we don't value something until it's actually taken away from us. And may Allah protect us from that we see the value and stuff. And with this pandemic, a lot of things were actually taken away from us that we would never consider to think, how does this impact my life? How much value does it actually add to my life and would to my life? One of these things is brotherhood. One of these things is being with our brothers and sisters in Islam. But now that's not there, but we actually feel the difference in it. You know, Sometimes you'd come to the masjid and we'd sit and we'd meet up with some of our brothers and sisters, and we'd have probably the ones that we would line with, but you generally know the entire masjid. We know their faces and who were there, and just being there, being in the company of some of our brothers, being in the company of some of our sisters is something that it's uplifting. It's difficult to describe in words, but it brings about that effect that we won't get anywhere else. That just being there in their company is as if Allah has placed a certain barakah or rahmah in it, that we benefit from it. So in counseling we say that for a husband and wife, or for two people that love each other, if they were just to put them in a room together, and they don't even have to talk, they don't even have to do anything, but just because of their presence with one another, that in itself brings about a certain type of joy. That in itself brings about a certain type of peace and tranquility, unlike anything else. And probably when you say husband and wife in a room, some people say, "Oh, that's the most boring thing," and they can't wait to do something that's different. But when it comes to our Muslim brothers and sisters, we feel that joy. We feel that love of being with them. As the Hadith of Prophet Muhammad SAW mentions in Adab al-Mufrad, that al-mu'min, that the believer is mar'atul akhihi, that he's a mirror to his brother. So the believer is a mirror to his brother. And when we see our Muslim brothers and our Muslim sisters, it should be like that. Which we should be mirrors to them and they should be mirrors to us. And when we see them and they see us, that we feel that sense of upliftment. We are more conscious about our own selves. We are more conscious about our own iman, and they would remind us of Allah. The most important thing, that would remind us of Allah. And not just sometimes being in their presence, it will be that because we are just in their presence, it will prevent us from being and doing things that are wrong. Maybe being in their presence would actually encourage us to be more pious. Being in their presence might just encourage us to do more good. And we have this quality, and we notice this quality, that sometimes we say that when we are with a group of people that they rub off on you, as we say in Trinidad, because their qualities and their values also as are a mirror to us, and as we say, it rubs off on us. So choosing the right crowd and being in the right crowd, and as it is in Islam, being with our Muslim brothers and sisters is something definitely that we can't substitute with anything else. But it brings about goodness. It brings about that remembrance of Allah. It brings about a sense of joy. It brings about an upliftment if you are having a bad day. Especially for the sisters sometimes that they need that extra shoulder sometimes to lean on. It doesn't have to be their family, it doesn't have to be their mother or sister, but they just need a friend, a sister in Islam to lean on. Maybe someone to bounce a couple of thoughts and opinions off, or someone to get some advice from maybe. And likewise for the brothers, we need that brotherhood in Islam to not be to let out some of our emotions sometimes, to talk to others, and we derive a sense of joy and peace and tranquility from it. Being brothers in Islam, it is like this. Since the pandemic started and we had these lockdown restrictions, we would not have been seeing one another as usual as we would before. And the masjid not open, we wouldn't see each other for Taraweeh as we would normally meet up right here, praying Taraweeh Salah. We wouldn't meet up as we would sit and break fast with each other for iftars. I know that time is a special time. It was when everybody's hungry at the brink of breaking the fast and just waiting to break their fast is a moment that brings people together. Is something that's touching about it. But we haven't seen a lot of our brothers and sisters for a while because of the lockdown conditions. I know we ask ourselves sometimes that did we actually reach out to anyone and make sure they're doing okay? And I admonished myself personally for that. And but did we actually reach out to anyone? Did we find out to make sure everyone is okay, and we show our concerns for them? And if they're in any need of any sort, that we reach out and help them, and just to, maybe just to pick up the phone sometimes, hit them a message, and that alone in itself shows a sort of appreciation to them, and they'll feel welcome. They will feel a sense of value, inshallah. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah mentioned another hadith, but he mentioned that if it is you get to Jannah and you do not see me there, then ask about me. And ask Allah about the one who used to remind you about Allah, that asks about me. And brings us to think that we're not in Jannah yet. And inshallah, may Allah make us among the people that will enter Jannah. I mean, we're not in Jannah, but we are here away from everything that's normal. And I bring into light that statement in a way that did we, show concern about anyone? Did we ask about anyone? So, maybe one of the take-home points from today, one of the call to action that we can do is that when we leave here today, after we break our fast, find one person that we know that when Ramadan comes around, and iftar and Taraweeh, or even at the Jummah Salah, that every time we go Jummah, we would meet this person, we would see this person, and we know we formed a bond and a communication with them, that to find at least one person and message them. Find at least one person and give them a call. Find out how they are doing. Probably give them a reminder about Ramadan, encourage them to do good deeds, and maybe they could do the same for you, and you can never know that maybe what they do and your part of brotherhood that you can play is to give them a form of advice, and that your advice could go so far that they would practice it in this month of Ramadan, and you would get a reward for it, inshallah. So definitely brotherhood, as we see the value of it now, as it's taken away, something that we appreciate. And inshallah, when these lockdown measures are removed, and we are back into the masjid, and we're back into the Jamaah, and we meet our brothers and sisters, inshallah, we will feel the difference, and we will feel the value of which brotherhood means to us and sisterhood means to us. And let that feeling kindle a new light, that we see brotherhood and we see sisterhood as different, and we do not treat it as something that's vilified and belittled, but we treat it with something that's actually valuable. Is actually that we are there for our Muslim brothers and sisters. As we closely approach the time to break the fast, we know that definitely that the dua of the fasting person is one that is not rejected, and the dua either after all that the dua at the time of breaking the fast and close before the time of breaking the fast is a dua that is not rejected. It's most highly answered, more answered than other times. So definitely this is a time to make dua. Definitely this is a time to make the dua for all the things that we wanted to make dua, that we usually want to make dua for, and when we remember it is not one of these special times. So this is definitely a time to use to make dua for those things. This is a time that especially we make dua for those people around the world. We make dua for the entire Muslim Ummah around the world, our brothers and sisters around the world, that may Allah keep them in a state of peace, in a state of tranquility. And if anyone is going through any sort of hardship and difficulty, that Allah will remove their hardship and stress from them. And this is a time where we will make dua. And when I leave you, that you make dua for this world and the things that you want in this world, for dunya, wa fil akhirah, and make dua for the next life. As the verse of Quran mentions, and of course that is better. Make that we strengthen the bonds of brotherhood and we strengthen the bonds of sisterhood in Islam and in our Jamaats. We make dua that may Allah forgive us for all the wrongs that may have committed to our own brothers and sisters in the Jama'ah. And if we ever hurt anyone's feelings, if we ever did anyone any wrong in the Jama'ah and in our brotherhood and sisterhood in Islam as a whole, we ask Allah to forgive us from that. You make dua that to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood. You make a dua that Allah unite us as brothers and sisters in Islam. You make dua that Allah reunites all of us in Jannah as one brotherhood. Ameen. And I leave you there, and inshallah, you want to make your own duas. And I leave you there today. And we do meet again sometime. Wal akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.